The number on the screen is $312. You don't remember spending it down to this. You just remember it happening slowly, the way water finds the lowest point in a room without anyone noticing the room was ever tilted. You're 22. You have a job. You have a phone with a cracked corner. You have $312 and rent due in 6 days. This is where it starts, not with a plan. With a number too small to plan around. Level 1, $0. 0 isn't nothing. 0 is a place you visit weekly, sometimes daily, checking a balance that hovers just above the line like it's afraid of falling through. You get paid on Fridays. By Wednesday, the number is thin enough to see through. You've stopped buying the good coffee, not because someone told you to. Because the app on your phone told you to, quietly, every time you opened it. You eat the same 4 meals on rotation, not from discipline, from arithmetic. You know exactly what $6.40 buys at the grocery store down the street, and you know it buys more than $6.40 buys anywhere else. This is a skill nobody put on a resume. You have it anyway. A friend invites you to a concert. $85 for the ticket alone. You say you're busy that weekend. You are not busy. You are $85 short of being able to say yes, and the lie costs you nothing, while the truth would have cost you everything. You open a savings account you saw recommended online. You put in $40. 3 weeks later, you take $35 back out for a car repair you didn't see coming. The account exists. It just doesn't grow. Growing requires slack, and you don't have slack. You have a number that resets to almost nothing every 2 weeks and calls it a paycheck. The first rule, at $0, money isn't a tool. It's a countdown you reset every payday. Level 2, $5,000. You didn't notice it happening. You just noticed one day that the number in the app didn't make your chest tighten anymore. $5,000 sitting in an account feels, for the first time, like a wall instead of a ledge. You automated something. $150 a month moved the day your paycheck lands, before you can see it, before you can spend it. You don't remember deciding this consciously. You remember being tired of deciding every single week whether to save and just removing the decision instead. Your car needs $600 in repairs. A year ago, this would have meant a missed rent payment, a call to your landlord, a stomach that didn't settle for a week. Now it means an email confirming the transfer and a Tuesday that continues normally. Nobody notices this shift happened. You barely notice it yourself. The absence of panic doesn't announce itself. It just quietly stops showing up. You open a Roth IRA because someone at work mentioned it in passing, the way people mention things they assume everyone already knows. You put in $1,200 over the year. You don't understand half of what you bought. You bought it anyway because leaving it in cash felt, for the first time, like a decision rather than a default. The second rule, $5,000 doesn't make you rich. It makes emergencies boring again. Level 3, $25,000. You cross this number on a Tuesday and don't tell anyone. There's no one to tell who would understand what $25,000 means when you're 25, and it took you 3 years of automated transfers nobody clapped for. You get a raise, $3,400 a year, which lands as roughly $210 more a month after taxes. You don't upgrade anything. You increase the automatic transfer by $150 and let the other $60 disappear into groceries and gas, the same way it always has. This is the decision that separates you from most people at this exact income, though you don't know that yet. You just know the transfer amount changed and your life didn't. A coworker buys a truck, $640 a month for 6 years. You do the math without meaning to, the way you now do math on almost everything. You say it looks good. You mean it. You also know what $640 a month invested instead of financed becomes in 30 years, and the knowing sits quietly in the back of your head without turning into judgment. Just information you now carry that you didn't used to carry. The market drops 18% in a 6-week stretch. You watch $4,100 of your account disappear on paper. You feel something in your stomach that used to send you straight to the sell button. You don't touch it. Not because you're brave, because you've read enough to know the drop is the toll, not the destination. The third rule, $25,000 is where you stop reacting to money and start scheduling it. Level 4, $100,000. You see it on a Tuesday morning, 7:40 a.m., before your alarm even goes off. 6 figures. You sit on the edge of the bed for a full minute, just looking at it. You don't wake up your partner. You don't text anyone. You just sit there in the quiet, staring at a number that took 8 years and never once felt dramatic while it was happening. Something small shifts that week. A group chat starts collecting $45 for a coworker's gift. A year ago, you'd have paid without thinking, mostly out of fear of what not paying would say about you. This time you type "can't this time" and hit send. Nobody asks why. The fear that used to run that decision has quietly left the building without an announcement. A bank you've used for 8 years emails you. Not a promotion, a person. Someone named Rachel who handles a different tier of client and wants to schedule a call. You didn't ask for this. The system saw the number cross a line and reorganized itself around you without you doing anything except letting the number sit there. You run the math on where $100,000 goes if you leave it alone for 20 years. The number that comes out doesn't feel real. You check the math twice. It's still not real. It's just true. The fourth rule, $100,000 doesn't buy you anything. It buys you the right to stop explaining your bank account. Level 5, $250,000. The account doesn't feel like a milestone anymore. It feels like weather, present, constant, something you check without emotion, the way you check the temperature before leaving the house. You buy a car in cash, $19,000. It's not a flex. Nobody sees the transaction. You just don't want a payment anymore, and for the first time in your life, not wanting something is enough reason to make it disappear. This is a kind of freedom nobody warned you would feel this quiet. A friend from years back reaches out. Her rent went up $310, and she's stressed about it, in a way you remember with total clarity but can no longer feel. You listen. You say the right things. Something in you doesn't move the way it used to. It's not that you stopped caring. It's that the number stopped living in your body the same way it lives in hers. You recognize the gap opening between you and don't know how to close it without sounding like you're bragging about something you never announced. Your investments earn more in a strong month than your paycheck does. You notice this on a spreadsheet, not in a feeling. The feeling comes later, sitting with it at 11 p.m., realizing the machine you built quietly 8 years ago is now doing more work than you are. The fifth rule, $250,000 is where your money starts outworking you, and you have to sit with that before you believe it. Level 6, $500,000. $500,000 sitting in accounts you don't check daily anymore. You used to check obsessively. Now weeks pass. The absence of checking is itself a kind of arrival nobody tells you to expect. You get a call, not an email this time, from someone at the bank who wants 15 minutes of your time to talk about your goals. You take the call mostly out of curiosity. He knows your name before you say it. The same institution that put you on hold for 40 minutes at $200 now dials your number first. You didn't change. The number did. The system just reorganizes around whatever number shows up. You turn down a work trip that would have paid $8,000 in overtime because it conflicts with something that actually matters to you. And for the first time, the decision isn't close. Money used to win every close call by default. Now it's one input among several, and it doesn't always win. You help a family member with $4,000 for a car repair. You don't announce it. You don't mention the amount to anyone. It leaves the account, and the account barely notices. And something about that fact sits strangely in your chest. Not guilt, not pride, just the quiet recognition that money has stopped being the main character in your decisions. The sixth rule, $500,000 doesn't make you generous. It removes the excuse not to be. Level 7, $750,000. You start running the number that used to be abstract. How much would it take to never need a paycheck? The math used to feel like fantasy. Now it feels like a spreadsheet with a due date. A coworker gets laid off. The panic in the office is visible. People recalculating rent, recalculating everything in real time. You feel for them completely. You also notice, quietly, that the same headline that would have ended your world 6 years ago would now just be a Tuesday. You don't say this out loud. Saying it out loud in that room would sound like something other than what it is. You stop optimizing small things. You stop driving across town to save $6 on groceries. You stop comparing 3 delivery apps to save $4 on an order. The math that used to feel smart now feels like it's charging you time you can no longer justify spending that cheaply. Nobody taught you this shift happens. It just happens, quietly, once the number gets big enough that your hours are worth more than your bargains. You look at the account on a random Thursday and realize you haven't felt anxious about money in longer than you can specifically remember. Not because nothing goes wrong. Things still go wrong. Just none of them are big enough to reach the part of you that used to brace for impact. The seventh rule, $750,000 doesn't remove your problems. It changes which problems are big enough to count as one. Level 8, $1 million. You see it on a Tuesday, 7:43 in the morning, the same kind of ordinary morning that started this whole thing 11 years ago at $312. You sit on the edge of the bed. You don't move. You don't wake anyone up. You take a screenshot you'll probably never look at again and save it anyway. The version of you who opened that first savings account at $312 and put in $40 doesn't exist anymore. He didn't die dramatically. He was replaced slowly, one automated transfer at a time, across 11 years of Tuesdays that never once felt like the Tuesday that mattered. This is the one that mattered, and it looks exactly like all the others. You don't tell your family right away. You don't post anything. You make coffee. You sit in the quiet kitchen and look at a number that took 11 years and feel something closer to recognition than celebration. The specific, unshowy feeling of meeting someone you've been slowly becoming the entire time without noticing the transformation happen. You think about the version of you standing in front of the grocery store doing math on $6.40, and you don't feel superior to him. You feel something closer to gratitude, because he's the one who did the actual work. He's the one who said no to the concert ticket. He's the one who left the account alone during the 18% drop. You just showed up and inherited what he built, one boring Tuesday at a time. The 8th rule, $1 million isn't the number. It's the receipt for 11 years of Tuesdays nobody else was watching. Somewhere right now, someone is standing at a register doing math on $6.40. They're checking a banking app that says $312, feeling the countdown reset before payday even arrives. They don't know yet that the math they're doing quietly, joylessly, without an audience, is the exact math that ends, 11 years from now, with a number they can't currently imagine attached to a name they haven't fully become yet. The account doesn't care how it feels while you're building it. It only cares whether you kept showing up. The Tuesday after that decision still comes. It always does. It's coming for them right now.